The preface of the book Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi introduces the concept of flow, which refers to a state of complete absorption and focus in an activity that is intrinsically rewarding. The author suggests that this state of flow is essential to achieving happiness and fulfillment in life. He also notes that while many people experience flow in different areas of their lives, such as sports or music, it is often elusive in other areas, such as work. Csikszentmihalyi argues that flow is not just a subjective experience, but also has objective characteristics, such as a sense of control, a loss of self-consciousness, and a distortion of time. He also suggests that flow is not just a personal experience, but also has important societal implications, such as promoting creativity and productivity. The author discusses how our modern society often makes it difficult to experience flow, with its emphasis on material possessions and instant gratification. He suggests that we can cultivate flow in our lives by seeking out challenges that match our skills, setting clear goals, and focusing our attention on the present moment. In conclusion, the preface of Flow sets the stage for a book that explores the concept of flow in depth and offers practical advice for cultivating this state in our lives. The author suggests that by experiencing more flow in our lives, we can find greater happiness and fulfillment, and make important contributions to society. Chapter 1, Happiness Revisited. In Chapter 1, Csikszentmihalyi begins by questioning the nature of happiness and what it means to lead a good life. He argues that despite living in an affluent society with many comforts and luxuries, people are not necessarily happier than those in less prosperous societies. This is because happiness is not just a matter of having material possessions or experiencing pleasure, but rather it is a state of mind that comes from within. Csikszentmihalyi introduces the concept of flow, which he defines as a state of complete absorption and focus in an activity that is intrinsically rewarding. He argues that flow is a key ingredient to experiencing happiness and fulfillment in life. The author suggests that the experience of flow is not limited to just specific activities but can be achieved in almost any activity, as long as it matches our skills and challenges us enough to keep us engaged. Csikszentmihalyi also highlights the importance of setting clear goals and receiving feedback on our progress to achieve flow. He notes that in order to experience flow, we need to have a balance between our skills and the level of challenge in the task we are undertaking. Too much challenge can cause anxiety, while too little challenge can lead to boredom. Therefore, it is important to find activities that match our skill level and provide the right amount of challenge. In conclusion, Chapter 1 introduces the concept of flow and its importance in experiencing happiness and fulfillment in life. The author suggests that flow can be achieved in almost any activity, as long as it is challenging enough to keep us engaged and matches our skills. The chapter sets the foundation for the rest of the book, where the author explores flow in more depth and provides practical advice for cultivating this state in our lives. Chapter 2, The Anatomy of Consciousness. Chapter 2 delves into the nature of consciousness and how it relates to the concept of flow. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi argues that consciousness is not a static thing but rather a constantly changing stream of thoughts and perceptions. The author discusses how our consciousness is limited by the capacity of our attention, which can only focus on a limited number of stimuli at once. He notes that our attention is drawn to things that are novel, interesting, or threatening, and that we are more likely to experience flow when we are fully engaged in a task that captures our attention and holds it there. Csikszentmihalyi also highlights the role of feedback in the flow experience. He notes that feedback is crucial to keeping us engaged in a task and helping us adjust our actions to better match the demands of the task. He suggests that feedback is not just important for achieving flow in specific tasks but is also a key ingredient to improving our overall performance and personal growth. The author concludes the chapter by emphasizing that consciousness is not just a passive state of mind but can be actively shaped and directed by our actions and intentions. He suggests that by cultivating our ability to focus our attention and receive feedback, we can achieve greater levels of flow and personal growth. In summary, Chapter 2 explores the nature of consciousness and how it relates to the experience of flow. The author suggests that consciousness is not a static thing but rather a constantly changing stream of thoughts and perceptions, and that our attention is drawn to novel, interesting, or threatening stimuli. Feedback is also highlighted as a crucial element to achieving flow and improving our overall performance and personal growth. Before we continue, We would like to inform you that we release these summaries in audio format on Spotify before we release them on YouTube in video format, with subtitles. We have also created a goldmine of information which you can get exclusive access to by supporting us on Patreon. You get in-depth summaries plus scripts, usually twice the length of our YouTube content, a list of the top 20 key takeaways and exercises, summary requests, and more. Thank you for the support and don't forget to hit the like button. Chapter 3, Enjoyment and the Quality of Life. Chapter 3 focuses on the relationship between flow and happiness. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi argues that while material possessions and external circumstances can contribute to happiness to some extent, the experience of flow is a more important and lasting source of enjoyment and satisfaction in life. The author discusses how people often confuse pleasure with enjoyment, but that pleasure is a temporary and fleeting sensation that is dependent on external factors. Enjoyment, on the other hand, is a more enduring feeling of satisfaction that comes from being fully engaged in an activity that requires our skills and attention. Csikszentmihalyi suggests that the experience of flow is one of the most powerful sources of enjoyment and can contribute to a higher quality of life. The author also explores how the pursuit of material possessions and external rewards can actually detract from our enjoyment and lead to feelings of dissatisfaction and emptiness. He argues that a focus on extrinsic rewards can lead to a cycle of desire and disappointment, whereas the pursuit of flow and intrinsic rewards can lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. In conclusion, Chapter 3 emphasizes the importance of the flow experience in contributing to a higher quality of life and lasting enjoyment. The author suggests that the pursuit of material possessions and external rewards can actually detract from our enjoyment, while the pursuit of intrinsic rewards and the flow experience can lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Chapter 4, The Conditions of Flow. Chapter 4 focuses on the specific conditions that must be present in order for an individual to experience flow. According to Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, there are 8 different elements that must be present in order for flow to occur. 1. Clear goals. An individual must have a clear goal or objective in mind that provides direction and purpose to their actions. 2. Feedback. There must be continuous feedback that provides information on how well an individual is progressing towards their goal. 3. Challenge skill balance. The task at hand must be challenging enough to be engaging, but not so difficult that it leads to frustration or anxiety. 4. Action awareness merging. An individual must be fully immersed in the activity and not distracted by outside thoughts or concerns. 5. Concentration. The individual must be able to focus their attention on the task at hand without being distracted. 6. Control. The individual must feel a sense of control over the situation and their actions. 7. Loss of self-consciousness. The individual must lose self-awareness and become fully absorbed in the activity. 8. Timelessness. The individual must lose track of time and become fully engaged in the present moment. The author also discusses how flow experiences can vary depending on the type of activity being engaged in. Activities that are more physically demanding, such as sports or dancing, may require more focus on bodily sensations, while mental activities such as writing or problem-solving may require more focus on mental processes. Overall, Chapter 4 emphasizes the importance of specific conditions that must be present for an individual to experience flow. These conditions include clear goals, continuous feedback, challenge skill balance, concentration, control, loss of self-consciousness, and a sense of timelessness. The author also discusses how different types of activities may require different levels of focus and attention in order to achieve a flow state. Chapter 5, The Body and Flow. In Chapter 5, Csikszentmihalyi argues that the body is central to the flow experience. A flow state is when people are fully absorbed and focused on an activity, and they forget about everything else. According to Csikszentmihalyi, flow is a state of total harmony between the body and mind, where the self disappears and the person becomes one with the activity. The author asserts that individuals can use their bodies to achieve a flow state. The body can help one enter flow by being in good physical condition, having proper posture and breathing, and by being active in the present moment. Individuals should practice mindfulness, relaxation, and breathing exercises to improve their body's ability to enter flow. Additionally, Csikszentmihalyi suggests that flow can only occur when an individual is willing to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them. He also suggests that finding balance and challenging oneself appropriately is essential to achieving flow. The author further states that when a person is in a flow state, the sense of time is altered. Time may seem to slow down or speed up, depending on the individual's level of engagement. Flow can also result in feelings of ecstasy, peace, and fulfillment. In conclusion, Csikszentmihalyi emphasizes that the body plays a critical role in achieving flow, and individuals should strive to improve their physical state and practice mindfulness to increase their chances of entering this state. Chapter 6: The Flow of Thought. In this chapter, Csikszentmihalyi explores the flow of thought and how it contributes to the state of flow. He argues that flow can be achieved not just through physical activities, but also through mental ones, such as reading a book, writing a paper, or solving a complex problem. He suggests that the flow of thought is characterized by a series of mental operations that work together to achieve a specific goal. These operations include focusing attention, setting clear goals, receiving immediate feedback, and experiencing a sense of control over one's thoughts and actions. One important aspect of the flow of thought is that it requires a high level of concentration and mental energy. This means that distractions, such as external noise or interruptions, can disrupt the flow and make it difficult to achieve a state of heightened focus and engagement. Csikszentmihalyi also notes that the flow of thought can be achieved through creative activities, such as painting, composing music, or writing poetry. He argues that in these activities, individuals must use their imagination and creative skills to produce something new and original. The process of creating something from scratch can be immensely rewarding and can contribute to a sense of flow. Finally, Csikszentmihalyi emphasizes that the flow of thought can be a transformative experience that can lead to personal growth and development. By engaging in challenging mental activities and achieving a state of flow, individuals can expand their knowledge and skills, as well as their sense of self-efficacy and confidence. Chapter 7: Work as Flow. In Chapter 7, he explores how flow can be achieved through work. Work, for many people, can be an unpleasant task, something they have to do rather than something they want to do. However, Csikszentmihalyi argues that work can be a source of joy, creativity, and meaning. To achieve flow at work, one needs to have a clear goal, immediate feedback, and a balance between the level of challenge and their skills. When a person can lose themselves in work and become completely immersed in what they are doing, they experience flow. In this state, work becomes an end in itself, and one can lose track of time and their surroundings. Csikszentmihalyi discusses the importance of finding intrinsic motivation in work. People who find work to be inherently enjoyable are more likely to experience flow and have a better quality of life. Intrinsic motivation can be developed through autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy refers to the ability to control one's work environment, mastery means developing skills and expertise in a specific field, and purpose means having a sense of meaning and making a difference. Csikszentmihalyi also touches on the concept of telecommuting or remote work. While this type of work can provide flexibility and control over one's work environment, it can also lead to a lack of social interaction, distractions, and difficulty in maintaining work-life balance. Thus, it is essential to find a balance between the benefits and drawbacks of remote work. Overall, Csikszentmihalyi emphasizes that work can be a source of flow and intrinsic motivation, which can lead to a better quality of life. To achieve flow in work, individuals need to find a balance between challenge and skills, have clear goals and immediate feedback, and develop intrinsic motivation through autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Chapter 8: Enjoying Solitude and Other People. In Chapter 8, Csikszentmihalyi discusses the importance of social relationships and achieving optimal experiences. He notes that while solitude can be an important source of creative insights and personal growth, social interactions can be just as important in fostering flow. According to Csikszentmihalyi, a sense of belongingness is one of the key factors that contributes to the enjoyment of social interactions. When people feel accepted and valued by others, they are more likely to experience flow in social situations. However, social interactions can also be challenging and stressful, which can interfere with the experience of flow. Therefore, it is important to find a balance between solitude and social interaction to achieve optimal experiences. Furthermore, Csikszentmihalyi emphasizes the importance of relationships that are characterized by mutual interest and understanding, rather than just superficial connections. These deeper relationships can provide a sense of connectedness that is essential to experiencing flow in social situations. However, cultivating such relationships requires effort and attention, and they cannot be developed quickly or easily. Finally, the author notes that it is important to find a balance between time spent alone and time spent with others, as both can contribute to personal growth and enjoyment of life. While solitude can provide opportunities for personal reflection and creativity, social interactions can provide a sense of belongingness and help foster meaningful relationships that contribute to overall well-being. Therefore, it is important to develop a healthy balance between time spent alone and time spent with others. Chapter 9, Cheating Chaos. Chapter 9 explores how individuals can cultivate a sense of order and control in their lives, even when they are confronted with chaos and unpredictability. Csikszentmihalyi argues that a crucial aspect of achieving flow is to be in control of one's experiences, to be able to anticipate and shape the events and situations that one encounters. However, he acknowledges that this can be challenging in a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable. To overcome this, he suggests several strategies that individuals can use to cheat chaos and create a sense of order in their lives. One such strategy is to develop habits and routines that provide structure and predictability. These can include anything from a regular exercise routine to a daily meditation practice. By establishing regular patterns of behavior, individuals can reduce the amount of decision-making required in their daily lives and create a sense of stability and consistency. Another strategy is to seek out new challenges and opportunities for growth. By pushing themselves outside of their comfort zones and trying new things, individuals can expand their skills and abilities and become better equipped to handle unexpected challenges. Csikszentmihalyi also emphasizes the importance of cultivating a sense of purpose and meaning in life. By identifying what is truly important to them and aligning their actions with their values, individuals can create a sense of direction and focus that can help them navigate through uncertain and chaotic times. Overall, Cheating Chaos offers valuable insights into how individuals can cultivate a sense of order and control in their lives, even when faced with unpredictable and chaotic circumstances. By developing habits and routines, seeking out new challenges, and cultivating a sense of purpose and meaning, individuals can better navigate the ups and downs of life and achieve a greater sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. Chapter 10, The Making of Meaning. Chapter 10 focuses on the role of meaning in achieving happiness. Csikszentmihalyi argues that the ability to find meaning in one's life is one of the most important factors in achieving happiness. In fact, he suggests that the most satisfying experiences in our lives are when we are living in pursuit of goals that we believe are important. The author suggests that the key to finding meaning is to set goals that are challenging but achievable. These goals should be aligned with our values and interests, and should require us to use our skills and knowledge to their fullest extent. When we are able to pursue such goals, we experience a sense of purpose and fulfillment that cannot be achieved through more passive forms of entertainment or relaxation. Furthermore, Csikszentmihalyi believes that meaning is not something that can be found or given to us, but something that we must create for ourselves. He suggests that we can create meaning by taking on challenges, developing our skills, and pursuing our passions. He also emphasizes the importance of giving back to others, as altruistic activities can provide a sense of purpose and meaning that is difficult to achieve through personal pursuits alone. Finally, the author acknowledges that finding meaning can be difficult, especially in a world that can be chaotic and unpredictable. However, he argues that the effort is worth it, as the rewards of a meaningful life are immeasurable. In the end, he suggests that the pursuit of meaning is what makes life worth living. Conclusion. The conclusion of Flow emphasizes the importance of finding purpose and meaning in life through experiencing flow. Csikszentmihalyi reminds us that achieving flow isn't just a means to happiness but also an opportunity for personal growth, creativity, and contributing to society. He argues that finding flow is one of the most important things we can do to make our lives more fulfilling and enjoyable. Csikszentmihalyi suggests that we need to take control of our consciousness and direct it towards activities that challenge us to reach our potential. To do this, We need to develop skills, focus on the present moment, and set goals that align with our values. Furthermore, we need to be aware of the potential obstacles that can prevent us from achieving flow, such as distractions, anxiety, and fear of failure. Csikszentmihalyi emphasizes that flow is not just an individual experience, but a communal one. The more people that experience flow, the better society becomes. He argues that we can create a better world by fostering environments that promote flow, such as schools, workplaces, and social institutions. Overall, flow is an insightful and valuable read that encourages us to live more fully and meaningfully. By cultivating the state of flow, we can improve our well-being, become more creative and productive, and contribute to the greater good.